Hey everyone, Dave here from PTE. Going to share my screen and get started with this webinar. Today we're going to be talking about AI-driven search and answer engine optimization. Very important topic today, in today's day and age with all the growth of AI search tools like Bard, and how that's affecting dive in and get an early. Obviously, we only know so much. Really, this is kind of an evolving space. But we'll share what we know. A little bit about me. I run Philly Tech Entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur living in Graduate Hospital in Philadelphia. I've been in Philly about 5-6 years. Before that, I was a traveler, and I run a number of online businesses. One of them is Shortlist. It's a marketing agency. We do SEO, content marketing, website design development. So let's talk about the search landscape revolution. Obviously, there is the traditional search model that we have known for, well over a decade now, where you would type in a keyword and you would get, 10 blue links that would basically refer you to different websites, pages, blog posts, informational articles based on what you were searching for that, hopefully were relevant. And now we have the AI version, where if you go into an engine like a ChatGPT or Gemini, and you write a question, you will get an answer. You can have a conversation. So it's a very different experience to learning about something. I'm sure many of you, hopefully all of you, have tried out things like ChatGPT to get a sense for how it works, because right now 40% of Gen Z is using that for its search queries. And honestly, it took me a couple months to start to kind of get on board with it and sort of see in which ways it was useful. But now it's kind of my preferred way to do search as well. Even for basic searches that I know I could still get the answer on Google, I will often go to ChatGPT. So it's exploding as a space. And if you're looking to market your content and be found, we need to kind of understand how this is evolving. So we're shifting away from traditional click-based SEO. You'll hear things like zero click search, which is a terminology that implies that users are getting answers and information without having to click into something, because they're using these AI answer engines like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and so we need to kind of optimize for these new types of search engines in order to have our content found and still capture some degree of the traffic that we were used to. Capturing that traffic was a way of building an audience and potentially converting customers. Optimization is basically, it's not thinking necessarily about where you're ranking. Okay, it's not necessarily thinking about read from the top down. Hey everyone, sorry about that. I lost my connection. I'm having some connectivity issues at the moment, but I'll try to pick up where I left off. So let me go back to sharing my screen and go back to the previous slide here. We were talking about the difference between SEO and AEO and how traditional SEO relied on things like click-through rates, keyword density, backlink quantity, whereas answer engine optimization is more about authority and semantics. I was talking about how previously we would look at tools, SEO tools, and we would see metrics from the right side, things like domain rating, organic keywords, organic traffic. These were indicative of, really what mattered. Does the site have authority? Is it generating traffic? Is it ranking for keywords? Now we're seeing this influx of new metrics, the left side, which is AI citations. And that's being segmented based on Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever engine it's going for. And what's interesting here is that by normal standards, these sites are strong at 50s and 60s. They're generating thousands of organic traffic. However, many of them are not ranking. They're not being referenced in ChatGPT, for example, whatsoever. And so it's not necessarily the case that all of the old ways of ranking are transferring over to the new. We need to think about making sure that we're optimizing specifically for AEO. Here's a couple different ways to approach this. The first is leveraging structured data, right? So all these, artificial intelligence engines are crawling data, and they need to be able to parse it. They need to be able to understand the content and question. So using schema markup like FAQs, which is kind of naturally lends itself to a question and answer format. Crafting concise natural language answers. So sometimes there was this movement towards longer form content, longer form answers. But now, right now it's very much like if you ask a question to ChatGPT, it's going to give you a direct answer that's relatively concise, thorough, but using succinct language. It's not very it doesn't have a lot of flavor, to be honest. And then, building authority signals. So this is still, bread and butter, making sure that your brand is trustworthy, that it has relevance, to convince AI systems that your content is actually reliable and deserving of being featured. So those are some ways in which we're kind of seeing optimizations for AEO take over. Um, so let's actually apply that to your content. If you have certain pages that you want to rank and you want to be, excuse me, ranked is not even the word. Well, you want to be cited and you want to generate traffic through search engines. You need to kind of go in there and structure them in a way that is more likely to be picked up by ChatGPT. So that could be including FAQs or reviewing your existing ones to make sure that they have a good question and answer format. It can be updating the content structure. Writing the way that AI writes. If you go to ChatGPT and you ask for a 5-day itinerary to Portugal, you're going to get a very structured answer. It almost looks like a memo, right? There'll be different sections like day 1, day 2, day 3. There'll be a lot of bullet points. There'll be, indentation to indicate kind of a hierarchy between different content. I can even, show it right now. This is, 5-day itinerary to Lisbon. There's not, it's not a whole lot of fluff around, oh, Lisbon's a lovely place and you're going to really enjoy your time. It really gets right into the meat and potatoes of day 1, morning, lunch, afternoon, evening, where to go, bolding, key, maybe having a theme or a neighborhood or something like that. But frankly, just really kind of getting right to the answer and structuring it like this. And so if you're to have a better chance, that AI is going to reference it. And ultimately, if you're a business that sells tours to Portugal, that might be able to get you some customers. Using schema markup, like we mentioned, structured data, how to schema is going to help AI engines better comprehend your content. Looking at AI visibility metrics. So I showed that I showed the reference from the tools and the metrics there that shows how many pages are being referenced in the various AI search engines. And in Google Analytics, you can or see the source of your traffic, and they will specifically talk about the source being ChatGPT or being something else. So you can see which content is performing well in Google's search, and when certain AI engines are sending visitors your way. And then testing and refining, and that's what it's SEO. There's always been algorithmic changes, even when it was more in the traditional model, and we had to kind of know which approaches to content formats, structures, length, etc. were working best. And so now we're evolving into a new type of search experience. So all in all, this is likely to be the way forward. I don't think this is some sort of fad or trend, but I think that the AI powered search engine is here to stay. It is providing a better user experience. It is allowing people to be more conversational, to ask questions that and get answers that otherwise might not be addressed fully in a single article. To learn about an answer in a more concise and direct way. And so we need to think about, if we're writing content, how to structure it, how to leverage structured data, how to build the types of authority signals that AI engines are looking for, and ultimately how we can be a trusted source of information so that we can we can still maintain some degree of traffic and referrals. What's going on? Search volume is not decreasing. There's still as many people as ever that are searching for answers on the web, but the manner in which they're doing it is. And so this is one of these areas where you really have to evolve. I hope that this was informational, that this gave you some insights into AEO. We do a webinar every month for PTE. This recording will site, as will the slideshow. And I wish everyone a happy 4th of July and a long weekend. Thank you.